Tonight on Y News. The Senate panel approves today the measure that seeks to extend the coverage of the Sotto Law to include broadcast and electronic media. President Rodrigo Duterte meets with the Filipino community on his first official visit to Malaysia.
President Rodrigo Duterte stands by his decision of allowing the burial of former President Ferdinand Marcos at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. The PNP Internal Affairs Service sets to file charges against personalities involved in the death of Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr.
Donald J. Trump is now elected as the new President of the United States of America. And giant fried eggs land sunny side up at Central Plaza in Santiago, Chile, which is a perfect spot for tourist selfies.
Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center, this is Y News with Angelo Castro III, Gerry Alcantara, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. The Department of Trade and Industry inspects decorative lights at Divisoria stalls. John Nano will tell us why.
So just be careful. Price is always an issue. With 150 pesos, masunugan ka, is it worth it? Kung nakasave ka na 100, yung mga kabahayan mo, kamag-anak mo, property mo, after a while, masunog. Is 100 pesos enough?
The Department of Trade and Industry once again warns the consumers to avoid buying cheap and substandard products that may cause fire. During the team's visit at several stalls in Divisoria today, nearly 1,000 boxes of decorative lights from 7 stalls were confiscated due to improper labels and fake ICC stickers. Some of the stalls were given a notice of violation, while the others were issued a show cause order to undergo an investigation to determine the source of their products.
They will be brought to our office. This will be inventoried again, then tested. And then, ito, iwanan namin na sila ng notice to either it's a violation or to explain, depending on how we found it.
Should there be proven violation, the owners of the stalls might be fined with at least 17,500 pesos. The DTI might also cancel their business permit or order the permanent closure of their establishment. The confiscated products will be destroyed by the DTI to ensure that they will not be used or sold anymore. The DTI assures that their inspection of stalls will continue together with the local governments to ensure that high-quality products are being sold in the market, especially now that holiday season approaches. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Senate panel approves today the measure that seeks to extend the coverage of Sotto Law to include broadcast and electronic media. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
In 1946, the Philippine Congress passed the Republic Act 53, also known as Sotto Law or Press Freedom Law. It was authored by then journalist and Senator Vicente Sotto, the grandfather of Senator Tito Sotto. The law protects reporters from the print media from revealing their sources of public news or information obtained in confidence. Since the law was passed more than 7 decades ago, Senator Tito Sotto now pushes the Senate to amend it and extend the coverage to radio, TV, and electronic media practitioners.
Hindi nga alam ng karamihan ang broadcast media, whether news or hindi, radio and TV, you're not covered by the Press Freedom Law. This time, we are covering the entire spectrum of news and journalism. Now, we will just be very careful in the issue of social media. Dapat legitimate social media practitioners.
The proposed bill did not receive contentions in today's hearing of the Senate Committee on Public Information chaired by Senator Grace Poe.
First and last, approve kagad lahat. Office of the Solicitor General, yung DICT, National Press Club, Press Institute, lahat sila in agreeance that it's the right time to amend this 70-year-old law.
The lady senator says this bill will partner with the Freedom of Information Bill to promote more transparency and accountability in the government. But just like FOI, the proposed amendments also have limitations and will not cover matters of national interest. Also, only legitimate and registered media practitioners can invoke this privilege.
Simple na nagbablog ka lang tapos naninira ka ng kapwa or nag-iimbento ka, you're not covered. You probably are covered by the freedom of expression, but that's about it. If government asks you who your source is, you have to reveal your source.
Senator Grace Poe says that although the Office of the Solicitor General has already expressed its support to the bill, the Senate will still wait for the agency's official position paper that they will include in the committee report, which is expected to be completed by next week. The House of Representatives, for its part, also approved the counterpart bill that also seeks to amend the Sotto Law. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The lower house started hearing this morning 7 bills seeking the revival of the death penalty in the country. Invited resource persons, however, were not able to give their position papers on the matter. Only the Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption, or VACC, stated that they are in favor of the bill. Among the bills heard was House Bill Number 1, authored by House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez. The Justice Subcommittee scheduled the succeeding hearing for next week.
The idea really of the subcommittee was to hold separate hearings for those in favor of the death penalty and those principally against the death penalty. We cannot afford to have a session attended by both sides.
President Rodrigo Duterte has already left for Thailand and Malaysia. The President and Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak are scheduled for a bilateral meeting wherein maritime security, economic cooperation, and the fight against illegal drugs top the agenda. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte will visit Thailand to pay his respects to the late King Pumipon Adunyaday, after which he will begin his 2-day official visit to Malaysia. President Duterte is scheduled to meet with Prime Minister Najib bin Tun Abdul Razak, wherein maritime security, terrorism, and economic cooperation in the Philippines chairmanship on ASEAN 2017 are the primary agenda.
Foremost on my agenda is the maritime security and the fight against piracy at sea. As maritime nations, we don't have a stake in ensuring that our waterways are secure and that criminal and terrorist elements do not use our seas to undertake their illegal activities.
President Duterte said that he will not raise the issue on Sabah claim.
Not at this time, because my visit is just 1 day to focus on what is happening in the Malacca Strait.
The President will also ask the Prime Minister for the continuous support of Malaysia to the peace process in Mindanao region. He is also scheduled to meet with the Filipino community of more than 100,000 Filipinos staying in the country. President Duterte's visit to Malaysia in his 8th Asian trip, following Laos, Vietnam, Indonesia, Brunei, China, Japan, and Thailand. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
President Rodrigo Duterte meets with the Filipino community on his first official visit to Malaysia. From Malaysia, Rosalie Cos will tell us why live. Yes, Rosalie.
Good evening, Darlene. Around 6 in the evening tonight, when President Rodrigo Duterte arrived here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, for his first official visit as the chief executive of the country. And the Filipinos who are here at the Grand Ballroom of Mandarin Hotel are excited to personally meet and even take picture with him. Meeting with the Filipino community has always been the first in the lineup of activities of President Duterte whenever he visits a foreign country. Here in Malaysia, late in the afternoon when Filipinos started to come here, some of them eagerly waited for the president and even cheered for him while waiting outside the venue. A short program was prepared to entertain the participants while waiting for the arrival of the president. According to the Philippine ambassador to Malaysia, Eduardo Malaya, 74% of 500,000 Filipinos here in Malaysia voted for President Duterte last national election. Most of the Filipinos staying here work for the household service sector and the infrastructure development sector. Around 1,800 Filipinos gather here tonight in the Grand Ballroom of Mandarin Hotel. President Duterte is to deliver a speech before the Filipino community. Tomorrow, President Duterte is expected to meet Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak to have bilateral talks on security and economic cooperation. The Malaysian-Philippine business community is also set to meet with the Department of Trade and Industry, and it's also possible to make a courtesy call to President Duterte. That is our latest live here from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Back to you, Darlene.
Thank you, Rosalie. And that's Rosalie Cos reporting live from Malaysia. Motorists on major portions of both north and southbound lane of EDSA are now experiencing moderate to heavy traffic. Joan Nano is at Aurora Boulevard in Cubao to tell us why live. Yes, Joan.
Yes, good evening, Darlene. We are now right here in Aurora Boulevard, Cubao to know the latest traffic situation in some major roads within Metro Manila. Let's take a look at the traffic situation. For those travelers passing along here in Aurora Boulevard, Cubao, for those motorists on the southbound area going to Santolan, as you can see right now, traffic is in light to moderate movement. While for those traveling along EDSA northbound, as you can see, huge volume of vehicles is starting to build up as of this moment. So the travelers are currently experiencing a moderate to heavy traffic. Let's take a look at some of our live traffic points. First, in España, Blumentritt. Those vehicles coming from España, Blumentritt, going to Welcome Rotunda will experience a moderate traffic. While for those who are on the opposite lane, for travelers coming from Blumentritt, going along España UST, will also experience a moderate traffic as of this moment. Meanwhile, in EDSA Guadalupe, for our commuters going to Shop Boulevard, and if you are coming from EDSA Guadalupe, vehicles are now in a heavy traffic situation. While for those who are coming from Orense, if you are going to Ayala Makati, heavy traffic is also being experienced right now by the motorists in that area. In EDSA Balintawak, for travelers passing along the northbound area, if you are coming from Muñoz going to Balintawak, light to moderate traffic is being experienced by our motorists and commuters. As well as for those who are on the opposite lane or EDSA southbound, for those coming from Balintawak going to Muñoz, light to moderate traffic is also being observed right now. And lastly, in Monumento MacArthur Highway, vehicles going to Marulas and Balintawak, Valenzuela, motorists have nothing to worry because light traffic is being observed in that area. Same traffic situation is also being experienced by those travelers going to EDSA and Recto Avenue. Once again, Darlene, we would like to remind all the motorists out there that since tomorrow is Thursday and number coding scheme is still being implemented, all vehicles with plate numbers ending in 7 and 8 is strictly prohibited in all major roads within Metro Manila from 7 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening. And that was the latest traffic update. Back to you, Darlene.
Thank you, Joan. And that's Joan Nano reporting live from Aurora Boulevard, Cubao.
Next in Y News. President Rodrigo Duterte stands by his decision of allowing the burial of former President Ferdinand Marcos at the Libingan ng mga Bayani.
The PNP Internal Affairs Service sets to file charges against personalities involved in the death of Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr.
And scientists from the World Meteorological Organization reports that the last 5 years as the highest or the hottest on global record.
Y News will be right back. Senator Senator Laila de Lima is set to file a motion for reconsideration in connection with the Supreme Court's decision allowing the burial of late President Ferdinand Marcos at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. Ay Miguel will tell us why.
Just like the other petitioners, I'm minded to file a motion for reconsideration. So it's not a unanimous decision, even if it's not a close majority, because it's 9-5.
Senator Laila de Lima is against the decision of the Supreme Court to allow the burial of late President Ferdinand Marcos at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. De Lima says the decision only shows a disregard for the victims of Marcos' dictatorship during the martial law era.
Really, it's a very sad day yesterday, and these are horrible times for our democracy and the Constitution, because the Constitution has been crafted precisely to avoid the sad experience during the dictatorship.
De Lima is among the petitioners, but her petition was dismissed by the majority of SC justices, a reason why she wants to file a motion for reconsideration to contest it. De Lima also believes that the ruling is not yet executory, so that petitioners still have time to oppose it. The senator is hoping for a reversal in the decision. She says what is needed is to file a motion for reconsideration at the right time.
You just need about 1 or 2 justices belonging now to the majority to change their mind, so we could have the decision reversed.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
President Rodrigo Duterte stands by his decision of allowing the burial of former President Ferdinand Marcos at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte will not back down on his decision of allowing the burial of former President Ferdinand Marcos at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. According to the President, he already talked to former Senator Bongbong Marcos when they met in Tacloban City yesterday and discussed the matter after the Supreme Court announced its ruling allowing the said burial.
I saw Bongbong yesterday in Tacloban. Sabi ko, it's your choice. Sabi niya na same question like you. Can we now proceed? Ko, yes, you can. I've said before, I will not take my word back.
Duterte emphasized that he is just following the law.
I simply followed the law. Wala tayong magawa niyan. The law itself says that, he fits the completion to a T. He was a president and he was a soldier.
The President also says the sins of the Marcos is on another issue.
That part of the sins of Marcos has yet to be proven by a competent court. Yung sabihin lang niya na wala yung pera, that is altogether another different issue.
Also, during the President's press briefing before departing for Thailand and Malaysia, he said that he plans to convene a meeting with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and Moro National Liberation Front to discuss the peace process. The primary objective of the meeting is to clear issues and differences of the two armed groups on the peace table. According to the President, he sees good result on the peace talks and cessation of armed violence in the country after 2 years. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Some suspects in the Davao City blast may turn state witness. This according to the Philippine National Police. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Police Regional Office 11 Chief, Police Chief Superintendent Manuel Gairlan says some suspects in the September 2 night market bombing in Davao City have already given extrajudicial confession stating their knowledge about the incident. He says no compromise was made in exchange for the confession.
Meron na sa kanilang mga nagbigay ng affidavits and I think there are still 1 or 2 more who are in the process of preparing their extrajudicial confession in the presence of lawyers. Siguro ang treatment lang sa kanya is he becomes a state witness. Under our laws, the prosecution is allowed to present state witnesses.
Gairlan adds that the revelations of the suspects will be a great help in the case against the other perpetrators of the crime.
The extrajudicial confession helps a lot because may mga alam sila na sila lang nakakaalam. Hindi naman natin, hindi alam ng ibang witnesses, hindi alam ng PNP. So, within their group, nagko-confess na sila, okay, ito yung ginawa namin, ito yung participation ko. Those are some of the revelations of the arrested suspects.
However, the Davao City Prosecutor's Office has not yet received any supplemental affidavits, and should they receive any submissions, the office still has to review these extrajudicial confessions. If there is basis, they could recommend the person who executed the affidavit to be a state witness, subject to the approval of the court. So far, the case of multiple murder and multiple frustrated murder against the suspects of the deadly night market bombing has not yet been filed before the court. The prosecutor's office is still reviewing the draft resolution of the case. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
The PNP Internal Affairs Service or IAS sets to file charges against personalities involved in the death of Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr., although it is not questioning the issuance of a search warrant against the late city official. Grace Cassin will tell us why.
The PNP Internal Affairs Service or IAS says they will focus on the violation of the police operational procedure as they see no irregularities with a search warrant against late Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr. According to IAS Deputy Inspector General Police Chief Superintendent Leo Angelo Luterio, it was authorized by the court.
There is no question about the authority of the CIDG-8 to conduct their operation because there was a valid search warrant. What I am looking at is that were there lapses in the procedure by which they applied the search warrant.
Luterio says they're currently in process of determining the extent of the administrative case that will be filed against the police officers, as now they have the affidavits of the jail guards, inmates, and police officers assigned to Espinosa who stand as witnesses.
At this point, we have already levied administrative complaints against them. We're just determining what kind of administrative complaint should be given to them.
However, the general has clarified that they have given the police officers involved 10 days to submit their counter affidavits. Grace Cassin, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government believes that the affidavits of slain Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr. are still valuable. Brian De Paz will tell us why.
The documents of Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa submitted by his lawyer to the DILG will not be void, according to Task Force Chairman Undersecretary John Castriciones. The official says they have just received today the 3 affidavits containing the names of personalities involved or protectors of illegal drugs.
At this point in time, we are still evaluating and perusing the said document so that we would be able to make the necessary recommendation with regards to the action that Task Force Aguila would be undertaking.
Castriciones says the affidavits will be of help to their investigation, specifically if the documents will be proven by the statements of other individuals. DILG's Task Force Aguila promises that they are ready to offer security to the persons of interest to avoid any worries. The DILG adds that the personalities who submitted their sworn statements regarding their involvement in illegal drugs will have to go through a process before declaring them innocent. Castriciones also says that it contains the name of a senator.
Ilan mga sir? Ilan? Isang senador. Babae, lalaki. Your guess is as good as mine.
Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The temperature temperature is now getting lower. The Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAG-ASA, recorded a temperature of 21.1 degrees Celsius in Metro Manila this morning and 13.2 degrees Celsius in Baguio City. The weather agency says this is due to the start of the Amihan, or northeast monsoon. In connection with this weather system, the provinces of Batanes, Ilocos Region, Apayao, and Cagayan will experience light rains. Isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail in Metro Manila and the rest of the country, but mostly in Mindanao. Meanwhile, a low-pressure area is spotted at 1,000 kilometers east of Surigao City, but it has no direct effect on the country. The last 5 years had been the hottest on record according to scientists from the World Meteorological Organization. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The United Nations Weather Agency says that the past 5 years were the hottest on record, with mounting evidence that heat waves, floods, and rising sea levels are increasing because of man-made climate change. A report by the World Meteorological Organization confirmed that the year 2015 was the first year in which temperatures were 1 degree Celsius above pre-industrial times, partly because of an El Nino weather event that warmed the Pacific. Deputy Secretary General of the WMO, Elena Manaykova, announced in a news conference that 2011-2015 was the warmest 5-year period on record. Members of the WMO also warned greenhouse gas emissions had raised the risks of extreme events, sometimes by a factor of 10 or more.
79 extreme events which have been analyzed through the period of 2011-2015, and it comes out from the analysis that at least 50% of those extreme events have been attributed either directly or indirectly to the fact of man-made climate change.
The WMO report examined 79 extreme weather events from 2011 to 2015, including the 2011-2012 drought and famine in the Horn of Africa that killed more than 250,000 people, Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines that killed 7,800 in 2013, and Superstorm Sandy that caused $67 billion of damage in 2012, mostly in the United States. The last 5-year period beat 2006-2010 as the warmest such period since records began in the 19th century. The heat was accompanied by a gradual rise in sea levels, spurred by melting glaciers and ice sheets. And the global average amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere reached 400 parts per million in 2015.
The rates of ice melting and the rates of greenhouse gas increases and the rates of temperature increases, they're a very serious matter. And when you just take off your scientist hat and you look at it, it's very concerning. And as we've already said, the Paris Agreement is a hugely important step, and now what happens next is going to be even more important.
The conference brings together officials from almost 200 nations from November 7 to 18 to work on ways to implement pledges made in Paris to adopt cleaner energies such as wind and solar power. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Coming up, Donald Trump is now elected as the new President of the United States of America.
India abolishes all larger banknotes in their fight against graft and black money through a midnight decision.
And giant fried eggs land sunny side up at Central Plaza in Santiago, Chile, which is a perfect spot for tourist selfies.
More from my news after this break. As the new U.S. President, Trump promises to put Americans to work, deal fairly with other countries. James Buntuyan tells us why.
Donald Trump is now the 45th U.S. President after a stunning victory over Democrat Hillary Clinton, clinching a total of 289 electoral votes. In his victory speech, Trump promised to use his business acumen to run the country and vowed to work with other nations as he celebrated winning the White House after sweeping a series of key battleground states and rallying world markets that had expected Clinton to defeat the political outsider. Trump has praised the movement that catapulted him to the front of the Republican presidential ticket.
Ours was not a campaign, but rather an incredible and great movement made up of millions of hardworking men and women who love their country and want a better, brighter future for themselves and for their family. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer.
Trump says he would embark on a large-scale project of national growth and renewal, putting Americans to work.
We are going to fix our inner cities and rebuild our highways, bridges, tunnels, airports, schools, hospitals. We're going to rebuild our infrastructure, which will become, by the way, second to none.
Republicans also were projected to maintain control of the U.S. House of Representatives and appeared to be heading toward keeping their majority in the U.S. Senate. If Trump wins the White House, he would have a greater chance of enacting his agenda with the Republican-led Congress. As the evening wore on, Clinton, 69, acknowledged the unexpectedly close results given her lead in opinion polls going into Election Day. Trump said Clinton called to concede the race to him early on Wednesday as he appeared headed toward a stunning upset of the former Secretary of State in the bitter and divisive White House race, slamming the door shut on her quest to become the first woman president. Trump said he would reassure international leaders that he is willing to get along with other nations willing to go along with us.
I want to tell the world community that while we will always put America's interests first, we will deal fairly with everyone.
James Bontuyan, UNTV News and Rescue, Maryland, USA.
With Donald Trump winning the elections, the United States now has a very different president from the previous ones. Robbie De Guzman will tell us why.
Super Tuesday. With a big haul of delegates means the unreality of a President Donald Trump just got real. Doing well on Super Tuesday makes him more of an undeniable winner. Trump as president is in itself a history, a new kind of leader. Trump, born on June 14, 1946 in Queens, New York, is a billionaire real estate mogul and a reality television personality. Nicknamed the Donald, he is currently the chairman and president of the Trump Organization, which is the principal holding company for his real estate ventures and other business interests. During his career, Trump has built office towers, hotels, casinos, golf courses, and other branded facilities worldwide. Trump attended the New York Military Academy from age 13 and received a bachelor's degree in economics from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in 1968. In 1971, he was given control of his father Fred Trump's real estate and construction firm and later renamed it the Trump Organization, rising to public prominence shortly thereafter. As of 2016, he was listed by Forbes as the 324th wealthiest person in the world and 156th in the United States. In June 2015, Trump announced his candidacy for the presidency as a Republican and quickly emerged as the front-runner for his party's nomination. A year after, he was formally nominated for president at the 2016 Republican National Convention. Trump's campaign has received unprecedented media coverage and international attention. Many of his statements in interviews, on Twitter, and at campaign rallies have been controversial. For some, he apologized, but for some, he just gets going. Several rallies during the primaries were accompanied by protests or riots, but still, the Donald has won. The 70-year-old president has pledged that he will bring vast change in America during his first 100 days in office and make America great again. This will formally begin on January 20, 2017, when Donald John Trump Jr. will be sworn in as the 45th President of the United States of America. As he promised,
and I promise you that I will not let you down. We will do a great job. We will do a great job.
Robbie De Guzman, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
With Donald Trump being elected into power as the new U.S. president, his wife Melania Trump will also be the next focus of the U.S. political limelight. Marge Navarro will tell us why.
There's always been a sort of signature issue, at least in modern history, that first ladies are interested in. Education and reading if it's Laura Bush, and nutrition and exercise if it's Michelle Obama. Or somebody like Hillary Clinton, who, when first lady, steered the president's health policy initiative in the first Clinton term. So the question is there such a thing for Melania Trump? Recently, Melania Trump vowed to focus on encouraging more respectful dialogue, particularly among children and teenagers, if she were to become the First Lady of the United States. And now she is.
We have to find a better way to talk to each other, to disagree with each other, to respect each other.
Melania Trump stressed that her work would focus on younger people.
Many of us are able to handle mean words, even lies. Children and teenagers can be fragile. They are hurt when they are made fun of or made to feel less in looks or intelligence.
Melania Trump may trace her road to the White House back to 1987 and a chance encounter in the capital of her native Slovenia. Black and white pictures of the 17-year-old known then as Melanie Janavs launched a career that would take her to Milan and the United States, where she met Donald Trump at a party in New York in 1998. The future Mrs. Trump did not look back, changing her name to the more easily pronounceable Melania Nos. Though not quite a tale of rags to riches, the lifestyle she leads as the third wife of the billionaire businessman is a far cry from her roots in Slovenia, a tiny former Yugoslav republic of 2 million people. Residents of the small town of Sevnica in southeastern Slovenia, where Melania grew up on the banks of the river Sava, say her father sold car parts and her mother worked for a factory that made children's clothing and was often seen sewing late into the evening at home. Marge Navarro, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The ties between the Philippines and the United States will remain strong under the presidency of newly elected U.S. President Donald Trump. Grace Cassin will tell us why.
U.S. Charge d'Affaires Michael Kaleshki assures that keeping the good ties of America with the Philippines will remain on top of their priorities.
Whoever wins this election, our country will value the ties with the Philippines as it has over all these many decades, and that I can say with full confidence.
This afternoon, Philippine time, Republican Donald Trump became the 45th President of the United States. Political analyst Ramon Casiple believes that although President Rodrigo Duterte and the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump have different views, this would not affect the ties of the two countries.
This is not only a question of beyond the individual personalities, but really it's a question of bipartisan policy with regards to Philippines. Really a question now of whether or not the new U.S. President can accept the reality that President Duterte is for independent foreign policy.
Unlike in the election process in the Philippines, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump received electoral votes which are not based on the 50 states of the U.S.
So the electoral college system is actually from federalism, and it ensures that the states are active participants in the election. Each electoral college vote is related to a population. So the group of population in that area counts for one electoral college vote. And traditionally, the candidate that hits 270 electoral college votes is the winner.
According to some political analysts, the next U.S. president will not base its future endeavors with the Philippines on the personality of President Rodrigo Duterte, but on the long-standing agreements between the two countries. Grace Cassin, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines. They may not have rights to any land property in the country, but homeless citizens in Los Angeles still make it a point to exercise their right to vote. Calvin Manaig tells us why.
Residents of Skid Row, the area in downtown Los Angeles with a predominantly homeless population, took to the polls to cast their vote on who they wanted to be the next U.S. president. The homeless population has risen over recent years with a reported 5.2% increase since 2015. In the city of Los Angeles, the population is reported to be around 28,000. At the Ann Douglas Center, voters started turning out from 7 a.m. local time to vote for their choice of political candidate.
Hillary Clinton. I can't stand Donald Trump. He's an idiot.
Hillary, she's got the most experience. She's done it before in a way, like in a different kind of role as like First Lady, but she implemented a lot of great things that she can keep working on.
Another resident, Christina Carrera, voted for Trump.
I hope that he will clean things up and definitely hashtag drain the swamp because there's just so much corruption and so much bad politicking, and I mean the people that we have in government right now, especially here in California, they suck.
Ray Robert Stout says that the choice at the election is either socialist or fascist.
Either socialist or fascist. Trump being the fascist and Hillary being the socialist. So we get either one. I just think that a socialist, a Canadian type of government is better than a fascist type of government.
There are an estimated 500,000 people in the US who are without housing on any given night. Registering them to vote can thus be tricky. Many states now allow homeless people to use their shelter or a soup kitchen as their place of address. Others will even allow them to write in the location of the bench they sleep on. It's a start, activists claim, which is not enough. City leaders in Los Angeles have vowed to spend $1.85 billion over the next decade to house the homeless and provide better services for them. Calvin Manaig, UNTV News and Rescue, Los Angeles, California.
A mariachi band accompanies an elderly couple as they cast their votes in California. Christy Rosacilla will tell us why.
Fabio Alvarado, 91, was born in El Salvador in 1925. On Tuesday, November 8, he was sworn in as a United States citizen and cast a vote for U.S. President for the first time, along with his 80-year-old wife, Marta, who became a citizen in September. The couple became legal permanent residents in 1988, but this was the first time they were eligible to vote as new citizens.
Queremos un cambio también para este país tan maravilloso que es. Y pues no queremos pues que esté en estas condiciones en que estamos ahorita, la discriminación, y no queremos eso.
Fabio Alvarado said he hoped the new president would make changes to immigration policies using the female former president in Spanish to refer to Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton.
La verdad que esperamos que la nueva presidenta cambie lo que es inmigración, lo que es la ayuda para el inmigrante, lo que es la ayuda para los que están necesitando trabajo.
Although Fabio Alvarado did not become a U.S. citizen before the October 24 deadline to register to vote, California law allows people naturalized after the deadline to vote at a county register office. Chris Rosacilla, UNTV News and Rescue, Los Angeles, California.
India issues an overnight decision to abolish larger banknotes. Mercy Charles will tell us why.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday, November 8th, announced that 500 and 1000 rupee banknotes would be withdrawn from circulation at midnight to crack down on rampant corruption and counterfeit currency. The surprise move was designed to bring billions of dollars worth of cash in unaccounted wealth into a mainstream economy, as well as aid the finances of militants who target India and are suspected of using fake 500 rupee notes to fund operations. Addressing a news conference with Reserve Bank of India, Governor Urjit Patel says the step is taken amid growing concern about counterfeit currency.
Notably, in recent years, foreign fake Indian currency notes in high denominations, either 500 and 1000, has been increasing. However, I can assure you there has been no breach of any of the security features. But for ordinary and common public, the looks of an fake Indian currency note is similar to genuine notes, which makes it difficult for them to distinguish the fake from the genuine.
Nearly 40% of India's economy is driven by small and medium-sized enterprises that largely run on cash transactions. Economists said the move could impact these businesses and in turn have a knock-on effect on economic growth. There was a concern among members of the public about changing larger denomination banknotes for new ones once they expired. Indians queued at automatic teller machines and gas stations to withdraw currency after the announcement.
अगर जो मेरे पास छूटे हुए नहीं होते, चेंज 100 की नोट्स नहीं होती, तो टैक्सी वाले ने तो रिफ्यूज कर दिया था कि मैं तो लूंगा नहीं आपसे। तो ऐसे में मैं तो बच गया। ऐसे भी लोग होंगे जिनके पास सिर्फ 500 की नोट्स होगी, तो टैक्सी वाला लेगा नहीं। ये तो एक सिंपल इश्यू है। ऐसे बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं। आपको किराना लेना है, वो मना कर देंगे। आप कल क्या खरीदोगे?
These decisions need to be surgical, isn't it? I mean, the motive of the government requires this kind of surgical action.
Modi's ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party, came into power in 2014, promising to bring black market money into a regular financial system. But critics said it had failed. The old notes can be deposited in banks and post office from November 10th to December 30. All cash machines will be closed on Wednesday, November 9th and Thursday, November 10th. Mercy Charles, UNTV News and Rescue, Chennai, India.
Internet strip China adopts cyber security law. Dulce Alarcon will tell us why.
China's top legislature on Monday adopted a cybersecurity law to safeguard sovereignty on cyberspace, national security, and the rights of citizens. Efforts will also be made to punish online criminal activities and safeguard the order and security of cyberspace. According to the provisions, individual users and organizations are not allowed to jeopardize security on the internet or use it to damage national security, honor, and interests. It is also stipulated that service providers should blacklist users who violate the regulation and other laws on regulation and prohibit them from registering again. Also, operators are obliged to take measures to ensure the personal information they collect is secure. Police said the illegal collection of personal information is quite a problem.
信息种类就是涵盖我们应该所知道的所有的信息种类。然后再涉及到比较隐私的银行卡号，银行的那个诚信信息，包括他的银行存款余额、公民的开房记录、航班记录，包括涉及到那个电信部门的，就是这个手机定位。这么说，公安可以掌握这些信息，也可以查到这些信息，但我们需要多个部门合作，多警种合作。但一个人通过他这个一个互联网就是这个平台，他把这些信息都能掌握了，令我们很吃惊，说实话。
Those who violate the provisions and infringe on personal information will face fines of up to 1 million yuan, about $148,000. If illegal activities have led to profits, violators will face fines of up to 10 times their earnings.
人手机，你们就难以保证你的电话号码、你的通讯录不被别人从远程获取。我们就要改变这种局面，这也是我们提出安全可控的一个基本要求。
The number of internet users in China hit 710 million in June this year. According to the Internet Society of China, about 84% of internet users in the country say that they have been affected by personal information leaks. Dulce Alarcon, UNTV News and Rescue, Jilin, China.
Colombia trains ahead of a World Cup qualifier, while Barcelona's Neymar Jr. and company must stand on trial. Juan Hocson tells us why.
Barcelona forward Neymar da Silva Santos Jr., his parents, and two of the club's executives should stand trial for alleged corruption. Spain's High Court announced as it wrapped up a fraud investigation into the Brazil international's transfer to the Catalan team. The case stems from a complaint by a Brazilian investment group BIS, which owned part of Neymar's transfer rights and alleges it received less money than it was entitled to. However, Spanish champions Barca said in a statement its board would appeal the ruling. It added that if the trial went ahead, it would continue to defend the innocence of all of those being investigated. Meanwhile, Colombia's national soccer team hits the training field in Barranquilla ahead of their November 10 World Cup qualifier against Chile. Colombia's lineup includes the return of striker Radamel Falcao Garcia and forward Miguel Borja, who was called up for the first time. Falcao said Chile, currently fifth in the South America standings, remain a potential as they build off of 2 Copa America wins.
Bueno, la selección chilena viene de unos años muy buenos, ganando las 2 últimas Copa América. Es normal que por ahí se tengan esos bajones futbolísticos, estos picos, pero son grandísimos jugadores y van a pelear y van a estar ahí por ocupar un cupo al Mundial.
After facing Chile at Barranquilla's Metropolitano, Colombia will then travel to San Juan, Argentina to face 6th place Argentina on November 15. Monhok Son, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Giant fried eggs splattered around a central plaza in Santiago have become a perfect spot for tourists to enjoy their selfies. Nino Armilio will tell us why.
Residents of Santiago making their daily commute are greeted by a dozen giant-sized fried eggs splattered around the central plaza as part of an eye-catching pop-up 3D artist installation on Tuesday, November 8th. Public spaces around the Chilean capital have been transformed as part of an artistic expression festival called Hecho en Casa, or Made at Home. Dutch artist Henk Hofstra, who named his work art Accident, placed a series of installations in the form of giant fried eggs, measuring 10 meters in diameter, around Santiago's Plaza Italia, causing curious passers-by to stop and have a look. Many said they were surprised by the sheer size and color of the art exhibition, which they also found humorous.
A mí me parece interesante que hagan como estas intervenciones en Santiago. Creo que además es novedoso que hayan huevos fritos. Creo que así es como el que quiere venir con una marraqueta grande puede venir.
The eggs also provide the perfect backdrop for selfies and pictures to be shared on social media.
Algo bien novedoso, original, llamativo y distractorio también para la gente, para que se distraiga un poco de la rutina diaria que hay acá.
Meanwhile, 19-year-old student Daniela said it was unusual to see art exhibitions such as this in Santiago.
Está entretenida, diferente, no se ve mucho aquí las instalaciones artísticas así.
Hofstra, who lives and works in Drachten, the Netherlands, has been awarded prizes for different artistic projects in public spaces. His most notable projects are the Blue Road, Car Credit Crisis, Ants Invasion, and Above Water. Hecho en Casa ends on Sunday, November 13th. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Those are the reasons behind the news. November 9, 2016. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Gerry Alcantara.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News.